Welcome to Deeply Rested, the podcast that helps people doing good work in the world take incredibly good care of themselves. I'm your host, retired therapist and disillusioned business coach, Megan Megginson. I'm on a mission to help people like you unlearn the rules that keep you trapped in self-doubt so that you can recover from burnout and finally become deeply rested. If you enjoyed today's show, be sure to subscribe to this podcast and join our weekly newsletter at deeplyrested.com/newsletter. Now, it's time for the show. This will come as no surprise to you, but social media is exhausting. If I had my way, I would cancel my internet, throw my phone in the trash, and move full-time to the forest. But that's not reality. I want to share my work with you, and the internet is the best place to do it. So the question is, how can we market our businesses online in a way that feels exciting, energizing, and aligns with our values? Today's guest is Marietta Gentles Crawford. Marietta is a personal brand strategist and leadership expert specializing in public speaking, corporate workshops, and LinkedIn for businesses, both big and small. LinkedIn is quickly becoming the place to be for entrepreneurs who want to share their ideas, get noticed by the media, and connect with ideal customers without having to compete with cute puppy videos, funny memes, or forcing yourself to dance in front of the camera while pointing to words on the screen. Literally, nobody wants that. If Instagram isn't working for you and you're curious about leveraging LinkedIn to create meaningful relationships with ease, this conversation is for you. This interview with Marietta was originally recorded for my fundraising event, the Rest and Success Code, and I'm really excited to be sharing it with you here on Deeply Rested, because again, we need outlets to share our work that don't drive us into the ground. LinkedIn is a potential strategy that will help you spread your work and become deeply rested. I hope you enjoy this conversation with Marietta Gentles Crawford. Hello and welcome back. We are talking about how to create burnout-proof businesses that honor your needs and bankroll your lifestyle. I'm your host, Megan Megginson, and I'm here today with personal brand strategist and LinkedIn expert, Marietta Gentles Crawford. Marietta is the founder of MaryBrandsForYou.com. She helps business owners and consultants leverage LinkedIn to increase their visibility, attract their ideal customers, and profit from their digital presence. Hey, Marietta.
Hi, Megan. Thank you for having me.
Oh, I am so happy to have you here. I have really been looking forward to this conversation about social media today. And I have to say, it's really for purely selfish reasons. This is something I have been thinking a lot about in my own business since you, Marietta, planted this LinkedIn seed in the back of my head several months ago, and now I cannot let it go. So I'm really glad you're here to tell us more about it.
I'm glad that happened because it's really all part of my secret master plan for everyone.
Your master plan for world domination is to get everyone marketing on LinkedIn.
Yeah, I mean, this is just between us and your whole audience. But yeah, it's a secret.
Okay, yeah, it's a big secret. No, if you're listening in, don't tell anyone. But
no.
This time next year, LinkedIn is, there will be no more Instagram and Facebook. It will only be LinkedIn. That's Marietta's master plan.
You heard it here first.
Well, Marietta, I want to dive right in. And I know I heard you a couple months ago do a presentation about LinkedIn and why it's the place to be right now. And I called you up afterwards and I was like, all right, help me understand. Why is this better than Instagram and Facebook? And I want to just revisit that conversation now for our audience. So can you talk to us about why Instagram and Facebook don't work for certain types of entrepreneurs? What's broken about Instagram and Facebook?
I love that question because At face value, Instagram and Facebook seems like the best place where it's fun, it's casual, and you don't feel that same pressure. At the same time, people go to those platforms also for entertainment, right? When you go on Facebook, if you're a business owner and you're posting about your business or, something that you're promoting or your expertise, you're also competing with what's going on in the news or what's going on with celebrities, whatever the case may be. And especially on Instagram, Instagram is all about style and personality and beautiful, lovely, picture perfect pictures. And there is that need to compete because it's about how do I be entertaining and as glossy in order to fit in and to get that visibility. Because at the end of the day, when you think of even Instagram, one of the things I joke is it's like on Instagram, you have to dance now. And
oh my God. Right.
now we have to dance. We have to point at things. We have to, do all these things that it's just like, hey, I really just want to share my expertise about holistic living or my expertise about how to be a business owner. And so you feel that need to compete as opposed to LinkedIn is very consistent in why people are there. It's like the place where business owners and people go to connect. It's actually one of the places that for B2B marketing, content marketing, is considered the top place. The number is like over 79% sees LinkedIn as a quality place to find content and find people who are interested in that content. So it just makes sense to align it when you think about sharing your expertise.
I mean, I appreciate you explaining this flashy element to Instagram and Facebook, this entertainment element. I'm thinking about it now from a consumer perspective. Like when I go home today and I'm having a glass of wine, scrolling through my phone, I'm scrolling through Facebook, scrolling through Instagram, I'm half brain dead. Like I know there are a lot of nights when I'm scrolling past business related content. That's exactly what I need. But I scroll right past it because there's a dog picture right underneath it that is, way more my cup of tea in this moment. So
Absolutely.
when you said that, I'm like, right. Like maybe that's part of why I, as a sensitive person, feel so exhausted being on Instagram. It's because I'm competing all the time with cute dogs and perfect bodies and, inspirational quotes. And it just feels like almost impossible some days to really grab people's attention.
Absolutely. And then also you think about even with new platforms coming on like Clubhouse, let's say.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about Clubhouse. Okay. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, when you think about it, it's like these are new. I started doing marketing and when I really started on LinkedIn as far as sharing my expertise and attracting clients, that was around 2013, 2014 when I realized that, wow, me writing equals people commenting and emailing me saying, how can I work with you or going to my website, right? And LinkedIn has been around from even before 2013, right? Where before you figured it was just for job seekers, but then, then the cool kids came on and you saw marketers like Gary Vee spending time or Damon John. And you said, okay, wow. And Brene Brown and everyone was there. So it's interesting because LinkedIn has really been a consistent platform when it comes to thought leadership and business and expertise. And when you think about like the newer platforms like, Clubhouse, well, first of all, I'm not even allowed in the cool club because I am a droid person. I'm a human for the record, everyone, but I have a droid. And so because it's so exclusive, I'm not even able. But I'm actually glad because when I hear people talk about Clubhouse, the things I hear is obsessed and spending hours and hours of time. And I'm like, that doesn't really appeal to me at all.
Who has time for this? Like, do you guys not have clients you're working with? I'm so confused.
Right, exactly. So And when you think about it too, there's some serious privacy concerns. I mean, I have never seen so many people willing to give out their phone numbers publicly in order to get an invite. And, and pre-pandemic, if I was in like a store and someone's asking for my number, I'm looking over my shoulder to the left and the right, and I'm like 867-5309. People may know whose number that is. It's actually Jenny's number. But it's like,
thanks for clarifying, Marietta.
But it's like, so there's some privacy concerns with what information you're giving. So that's something that I'm okay with not being the first adapter there.
Yeah, me too. I think you said something about personality in the talk I heard you give a couple of months ago, that the platform that resonates with you most needs to be a platform that fits your personality. Absolutely. Can you say more about that?
Yeah, I mean, when it's interesting because a lot of times when I talk about LinkedIn, the way that I explain it, because there's a lot of people that explain LinkedIn or LinkedIn experts from different perspectives, whether it's social selling, leads generation, and that's really not my style. I come from it from a matter of like human to human connection. And this is how you can be profitable, just being a genuine human, right? And when you tell somebody that, hey, you don't have to create a personality. You don't have to craft a personality. You can show up being the expert that you are, finding the people that you help. And that is enough if you nurture that and grow that from a very genuine place. That feels good. Like I spoke to someone and I was saying that. And she said to me, I was doing a coaching session with a client. And she said, wow. She said, literally, that feels like a relief because I don't know what to do or how to show up. So being able to say, this is who I am. This is how, of course, you have to have a strategy, but being able to say, I don't have to create a personality. I'm just doing what I love best is really how you show up in a way that is full and makes people attracted to what you have to say.
That's really powerful. It gives people like me a chance to do a gut check, because often when I'm trying to force myself to be on Instagram and Facebook, and I'm trying my best to find a way to do it that feels good to me, I'm discovering, after years and years of trying, like, this might not be possible. Like there might not be a solution here for you. And it's easy in those moments to get sucked in to catastrophic thinking, right?
Yes.
Well, but Instagram and Facebook, that's, if I'm not there, where are people going to find me? And I now have Marietta's voice in my head saying, if Instagram and Facebook aren't fitting and resonating for your personality, it doesn't mean you're doomed. It just means that you need a platform that has a totally different style and culture, and LinkedIn might be the place to go.
Oh, yeah. And it's true. I mean, honestly, I'm someone who really likes my personal time and my personal space. And as much as I'm an advocate for LinkedIn for branding and for business growth, I also am not on the platform all day, every day, because I don't need to be. And one of the things, you feel that pressure where you see those big personalities, larger personalities on, larger than life personalities. First of all, a lot of them have assistants and social media people that are doing this posting for them, right?
Yeah,
or even answering. And then also just to the point that you don't have to be everywhere. You just have to be memorable. And that means that even with one platform that honestly, regardless of whether you're interested or not, people are finding you there. So you should have a good updated presence that is appealing. It feels good to know that if you're consistent, you really don't have to spread yourself thin over multiple platforms, and it can feel good.
Do you feel like LinkedIn is a good place for people who don't have B2B companies? So they're not, just to clarify, they're not looking to serve other business owners. They're looking to serve, people outside of the professional realm. Is LinkedIn still a good place for them?
It depends. I mean, I love this question because I get it in different variations. is this good for a health professional or a fitness trainer or someone in the
Right,
automotive? Yeah.
exactly. Hmm.
And my answer is if the people that you want to connect with is there, then absolutely. And the best way, and then usually the following question, Megan, is, well, how do I know if my people are there?
Yeah.
And
Well, that was going to be my next question. Yes.
but yeah, and I say hang out on the platform.
Mhm.
Literally take that time to go on the platform, use search by certain keywords, look at the conversations going on and see if there is an interest or where people are, the people that you're looking to connect with is are there. Okay, here's an example. For let's say there's a conference and the conference has different rooms and different
Mhm.
types of sessions and you're
Mhm.
trying to figure out what session is best for you, you're not going to figure out that you're not going to find that out by just staying outside of the rooms and
Mhm.
wondering, I wonder if room A is for me or room B. The key is going into the different rooms and taking a look at the vibe and seeing, hey, I like this vibe, I don't like this vibe. So if
Mhm.
you think of LinkedIn as a conference room or some place where a lot of people are hanging out, look at it as also not from a perspective of selling or promoting your brand, but also just getting an idea of what people are talking about. And is that aligned with, who you're looking to connect with?
That seems really simple.
I like simple. I'm glad you said that.
I'm like, oh, right. Just go and look. Okay. Not a mind blowing strategy. And yet it didn't occur to me. Thank you very much. Um, I'm thinking about it from another angle too. And I just want to
Hmm.
see if this checks out for you.
Hmm.
Thinking about, you said fitness coach. It's a really good
Hmm.
example, right? So there's a fitness trainer. They're wondering if their clients are on LinkedIn. I've heard you say before, it might have been in this conversation. Maybe it was in the previous, I'm not sure. But you said LinkedIn is the perfect place for thought leadership. So I'm kind of wondering, could someone like a fitness trainer try to get some articles out on LinkedIn about fitness for people who are stuck at their desks all day or something like that and see if it pulls people to them?
Absolutely. Actually, that's the best way. And honestly, when you think about it, sometimes I don't love the word thought leadership, but that's what it is. Just like some people don't love the word personal branding, right? But it's like
Mm-hmm.
that's what it is. And
Yeah.
when I started writing, and like I said, around 2013, before I really knew about content marketing and the whole big plan and everything that I now know as a business owner, the reality is that I was simply sharing my thought leadership. And just by doing that alone, like, I've been humbled and honored to be have my words and my ideas featured on websites like Business Insider,
Mhm.
Fast Company, Thrive Global, and a lot of times people say, "Well, how did you start that?" And I'm
Mhm.
like, this took time in building just my portfolio by writing, and that allowed people to not only know about me, but just to get an idea of my personality and my expertise, and even just leading them to your website. So I think that's an absolutely great suggestion. Just from a starter point that you're going to do anyway, is see if this is a place where you can share your thought leadership and see who's connecting with it.
I mean, I'm trying in my head right now to think like who wouldn't this be a good fit for? And the only ideas that are coming to my mind are, if your ideal client is say a stay-at-home parent or a retiree or someone who is like definitely not in the workforce,
Mhm.
they might not be on LinkedIn.
Right. And even go exactly. So if going back to the analogy of the conference, if you're in that room and like no one in that room is or the topic that you have, that's just not something that people are going to connect with or want to talk about publicly. Because there
Mhm.
are some topics that depending on like your profession, that maybe people don't want to admit that they have. I mean, you have to tread it because for example, I've worked with a business financial coach, and she talks about knowing your numbers and keeping strong as a healthy business financially. There are some topics that you're not going to approach it where someone's going to say, yes, I'm in debt, I don't know what I'm doing, and I keep all my
Mhm.
receipts in a shoebox.
Shoebox.
Right? So you have to thread that conversation a little bit
Mhm.
differently, because you may not get engagement because
Mhm.
people aren't going to really publicly, admit to that or connect to your work in public. But at the same time, yeah, I mean, your examples is right. If someone's retired, they're not interested, in gaining clients or, getting this information, probably not a good fit. But to someone who, let's say, um, they're not active on LinkedIn, but they know that people have looked them up on LinkedIn. So maybe you're a course creator and your main platform is Facebook. And, with every course or with everything, there's always a Facebook group, associated with it. It's good to have a link, even if LinkedIn is not your main social media profile. Let me tell you, people from your business groups are looking you up on LinkedIn, right? So even if LinkedIn's not your
Oh
main,
God, that's so bad. I haven't updated my LinkedIn since 2009.
no pressure. But people stop.
But it's totally true. Yeah, I do it. I mean, I've done it. So yes, they do. Of course. Just like they're going to Google you.
Exactly. And just one point, Megan, also as you mentioned Google, if you were to Google yourself, your LinkedIn profile is going to be one of the top, if not the top 3 websites that appear on the first page when someone Google. And depending on how strong your website is, it may sometimes show up above your own website. So these are things to keep in mind as far as just having a cohesive, aligned brand.
Wow. Yeah, this all feels really important.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to talk about another aspect of LinkedIn that you touched on earlier, which is it's a platform whose connection is about connecting and networking. And I want to talk about this through the introvert lens for a minute. We have a lot of people listening in who are introverted personalities. Like your example about going to the conference and popping in different rooms probably gave them hives. It sounds horrific. But I think that LinkedIn as a space, when I think about as an introvert, having a social media platform where I can intentionally cultivate meaningful one-on-one connections versus sending emojis back and forth and comments on Instagram posts, like that feels, the Instagram, the hearts and the emojis feel very ego boosting, like, like little dopamine surges.
Right.
But it doesn't feel intentional and it doesn't connect to the core of who I am and who I like to connect with people. So tell me more about, like, as an introvert who really does thrive on deep, meaningful one-on-one connections, how can you use LinkedIn to connect in that way? And are other people looking to use the platform in that way as well?
I love that lens because I am an introvert. Many people do not believe me or say you're the most extroverted introvert ever, but I am. And I am someone who definitely come from a space of exactly what you're talking about. I believe in, I would rather have a small group of genuine connection than a large group of people that I don't really know. And that's how I've treated my LinkedIn network, to be honest. I don't have a necessarily large network. I have about 5,000 people in my network. I have about 8,000 in my newsletter, which compared to some people who have 120K and all these, numbers that they boast about. But I also have people who will send me emails saying that they read my post and they want to learn more about how they can work with me, or it really inspired them to do something. And that means more to me than a like, because these conversations that I'm having are also coming from a place of knowing that I'm adding value, but also coming from a place of talking to people who I can help and people who want to hire me, who want to buy my course, who want to work with me on a one-on-one level. So I always feel like coming from a place of literally saying, teach what you know. There's a quote, teach everything that you know, help people. And let me tell you, while visibility and having these likes are great, I also know many people who will come to me and say, I have a lot of likes, I have a lot of visibility, but I am not making money. And to me, it's always humbling. And I can get caught up in that too, where I'm just like, oh, I did a post. This was really, really good, but it didn't get far. And maybe only 2 or 3 people saw it. But just 2 weeks ago, I had a post with that same example, and it didn't get too far, but someone who I did not even know, I've never seen her engage on my post or not familiar with the name at all, sent me a private message saying my post. She's like, Marietta, your posts are always so inspiring. I love your work. I really enjoy and connect with what you're saying. And that blew me away. because
Mm-hmm.
it shows you that you really, if you stay from your model of connecting and being genuine, you want the quick wins. You want that person, yes, who's going to say, "Hey, hire me today." But at the end of the day, when you use the word cultivating relationships, relationships don't happen overnight either. But
Right.
we're
Yeah.
right. But we're in this world where we expect everything to be skyrocket, and really quick. So it's a,
Mhm.
a reminder of remembering where you're coming from as someone who in a industry or as a business where you want to help people.
I'm feeling good about this, Marietta.
I'm glad. I'm glad.
Okay, I have one more question. Well, I have more questions,
Yes.
but my next question for you've talked about LinkedIn being a branding and marketing platform. Can you tell me what you mean by that?
Yeah, it really falls in together. And just there was another leg of your question that I hope I answered and I want to address too.
Yeah.
Does everyone doesn't see it that way, right? There's a lot of
Mm,
people that look at LinkedIn as leads. LinkedIn is a lead generation machine, and they
mm,
have biblical proof of how you can do it like gangbusters. And so there are a lot
mhm.
of people who approach it and they see the connections as a Rolodex of people to spam and send emails to. And then what do people
Yes.
do? They ignore it, right?
Right.
So,
Right.
I just want to touch on that because at the end of the day, it's not about collecting contacts and emailing people and not making any type of real effort to get to know them or be interested. It's also about how do you create a halo of celebrity and credibility around your brand as a thought leader, as an expert, as an
Mhm,
authority in your field.
mhm, mhm. So you're getting the right people reaching out to you.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
and you don't have to do the cold outreach because literally people are
Oh,
reaching out to you.
that's why I stopped going on LinkedIn in the first place years
Yeah.
and years and years ago, 10 years ago, maybe even more than that. It's been
Yeah.
a long time since I've tried LinkedIn. And I remember I felt so spammed all the
Yes.
time, just getting these. And often I would get spammed by people who it seemed like didn't even read my profile. They were asking, do you want a job as a computer engineer? And I'm like, what? Like, are you even paying attention? No, I'm out of here. This place is crazy.
Yeah.
Um, but also, I wasn't doing what you're describing. I wasn't putting effort into becoming known as a thought leader. I wasn't proactively engaging in relationships. I was just sitting back and passively waiting for people to come to me. And it's kind of ridiculous,
But But to be fair, Megan, like there's no rule book, right? I mean, it took me time. It took me years to figure it out so I can, remove that years from the people that I help
yes,
now.
it's your
But
magic.
but it's like it's not there really wasn't a rule book. And initially,
Right.
honestly, LinkedIn started out as a very static platform. And
Mhm.
as you can see now, which is why there's so much opportunity there, that it's becoming more dynamic and geared towards exactly the things we're talking about for
Yeah.
business owners. Yeah,
Yeah. They're
absolutely.
they're making very smart pivots.
Very. I mean, the most subtle one that I love is when they change the summary section to the about section, right? And
Mm,
that
mhm,
really, to as a branding geek, I love that because it
mm.
really exemplifies why it is the perfect place to establish your brand and
Right.
create your authority there.
That's awesome. Well, I have one more question before we move into action steps. Marietta is going to talk to us about three things we can do right away to get our LinkedIn profiles in gear.
Yes.
But before we talk action steps, right before we hit record, we're starting to talk about something really interesting that I want to touch on now, which is um, the ethical appropriateness of using LinkedIn as the social media platform compared to other big names like Instagram and Facebook. And it seems like there's more data coming out that's really pointing to LinkedIn as a platform that's setting the standard for social responsibility. Can you say more about what you know there?
Absolutely, Megan. LinkedIn was recently in a digital trust survey, 2020, last year, was noted as the number one trusted social media platform. And when you think about the survey, it's a combination of a number of things: privacy, obviously, relevancy, community, trust, and there was a couple of elements that made up this ranking. And LinkedIn was the first one. And again, going back to where we started, I mean, the number one ranked, and going back to where we started, it really comes down to being a consistent platform that has been around through the times. And it's something that has built this reputation accordingly.
I think this is something a lot of people are going to be very interested in.
Mhm.
More and more of my business coaching clients are telling me, hey, I'm making an ethical decision to get off of Facebook, to get off of Instagram. I've definitely thought about doing it myself. So to know that LinkedIn is potentially a platform that is taking social responsibility and ethical considerations more seriously is really appealing. So keep us updated on that, Marietta. What as new information comes out, I think a lot of people are hungry to know about it.
Absolutely. And I feel the same way too. And that's why it really reaffirms my decision to keep my presence really on LinkedIn for the most part. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now for the actionable stuff here. I
Yes.
want to know 3 things you can do immediately to dust off your profile and jump back into the LinkedIn game.
Okay, here we go. So the first thing that you can do is look at your headline, right? And the reason why I start with the headline is because there's a couple of things. If you think of your headline as your it's the first thing that people see when they look at your profile. Even when you look at someone's profile and they're able to see it, the only thing that they see before they can even look at the about section is your name and your headline. So making sure that it's really clear in describing who you are, what you do, and who you help. And the reason why I stress this part is because it's easy as a business owner to say, I am the owner of ABC Consulting or founder of ABC Consulting. But unless ABC Consulting is this hugely known name, it's better to use a combination of keywords that are going to attract your ideal clients because keyword optimization is important. And then also just making sure you're talking to the people that you want to connect. So my favorite formula is a combination of keywords and then adding either like a tagline or some type of credibility marker. For example, my keywords are obviously LinkedIn, personal branding, speaker, and then I have as seen in Business Insider, Forbes, and just adding my credibility markers. That area, some people will use taglines, maybe like have the burnout proof business you love, or or maybe they'll add something like lover of coffee and Oxford commas. So there's flexibility. I that's me. I love both.
Yes, me
So
too.
of course,
Well,
why?
I just pulled up your LinkedIn profile because I
Yes.
want to make sure I'm looking at the right thing while
Yes.
you teach me about this. So
Yes.
I go to your profile. Your headline is the bit that says keynote speaker plus personal brand strategist, personal branding for LinkedIn, seen in Business Insider, Forbes, Inc. That's your headline.
Yes. And so
Okay,
you
great.
see, and I love that you pulled it up because you see the combination of keywords, right? I am a speaker. I do speaking engagements. So if someone is looking for a speaker, it's very clear that that's what I do. Personal branding for LinkedIn. Notice I didn't say lead generation for LinkedIn, right? I don't really use those type of words. So even in just how you're positioning your headline is also positioning your point of view as far as how you do your business or how you believe your expert topic should be seen.
Great. Okay, tell us about action step number 2.
All right, this is fun. I feel like this should be like some type of sound. Okay, so
I'll add some sound effects in on the back end.
no pressure, no pressure. Okay, so for number 2, now we want to go into your about section, right? And so we talked
You
about
have to
your
scroll down a bit for that, just for anybody who's hopping on and looking. Scroll down a bit, and then you see the about section.
About section. And again, remember, this section was formerly known as summary, where a lot of times, if you haven't updated your profile in a while, you may have just summarized your business, summarized your 20 years of experience or your oriented skills or things like that. And a lot of times people don't realize that this is a perfect opportunity to show your personal brand, to show what makes you different from the next business coach or therapist or consultant. And it's also a great place to add a call to action. right?
Mhm.
Where do you want people to go after they read your about and realize that you are someone that they would love to know more about?
Mhm.
You actually have 26, right? As of today, it changes, but as of today, you have 2,600 characters.
Yeah, I
Um,
was just about to say, I'm looking at
yeah.
yours and you get to write quite a lot.
I do. And when I write, when I work with my clients, I use up all of the space because
Of
that is a
course.
great opportunity to be strategic. And the number one common mistake that people make is that they think that this is the chance to reinforce everything that they do.
Mm.
Right. So if you're a copywriter, you're saying how great of a writer you are. And while that is important, that is a standard skill, not necessarily a standout skill. So
Mhm.
it's really good to also be able to infuse your personality, your beliefs, any type of credibility markers that make you obviously a clear authority in your industry, but also things that make you different from the next person.
That makes a ton of sense. I just skimmed through yours. It's super engaging, and it's also beefy. It doesn't feel like it's another thing I hate about Instagram. I have like 500 characters to say something meaningful. It's like it's a joke, you know. How much can you actually say? Versus this feels. I feel like I actually get to know you, and I feel compelled to take action when you do
Yes.
give me these call to actions at the
Yes.
end. So I hope everyone connects with you on LinkedIn and spends time looking at what you've done here. 'Cause it's really incredible.
I would love that. And the thing about it is that there's so many ways to make it your own, right? And
Hmm.
really pull out understanding what makes you different so that you can pull out those things is a difference maker. Because I love that you said that it's compelling. Like you want it to be like a conversation. When you think about attracting clients and using LinkedIn to connect with people that's going to help you grow your business or who are going to hire you, you want to make this any opportunity to get them to have a feel of like, oh, wow, I like this person. I like her style.
Hmm.
And the
Hmm.
about section is the perfect area where you can do that.
Yes, yes. Okay, before we move on to step 3, I just have to read for our listeners the first line of your about section, which is
Ooh.
so great. Marietta says, "You won't build a brand that stands out hoping people pay attention. You build it by being so captivating, valuable, and memorable, people pay you." Right away, I'm like, hot damn, I'm down. Who is this woman? I think, yeah, this is like just looking at your profile is making me feel more excited about showing up on LinkedIn because this is
I,
really awesome.
and just having you read it made me excited. I must ask you to read my profile just all the time because you made it sound amazing.
Call me anytime, or you just send me a Voxer like, hey, read my profile. Like, okay,
I'm
great, on it.
feeling down today, Megan. Can you hit it? Read it. And And just to give you a peek of what that is, I call that my 7-second woo, right? Because
Mm.
what it did is exactly what I wanted to do, make you want to read more.
Yes, it kind of does like a little whiplash,
Mhm.
like I always think about like whiplash when I'm scrolling on my phone, when you're
Mm,
scrolling kind of fast and then
yeah.
something catches your attention and you've scrolled past it and then you have to boom, like
Ooh,
bring yourself back to it because it was so good. Like
thank
that's
you.
that's what
Yes.
this is for me. Okay, and what is the third action step people can take to dust off their LinkedIn profiles?
Social proof, right? So remember what I mentioned, like building a wall, building a halo of credibility and celebrity around your brand. Again, that's not about saying, oh my goodness, look at me. I have all these people in my network. That really isn't it. It's really about showing up as good as you really are. If you have certifications, if you have an article that was featured on Thrive Global, if you have a podcast that really is one of your favorites because it exemplifies like your values, your
Mm-hmm.
beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
Show that all over, sprinkle that all over your profile. There's so many areas where you can add media files, images, and it's underutilized. And then also, speaking of underutilized, making sure that you have recommendations, right? When we talk about social proof and the people that are lurking at our profiles anyway, have some updated recommendations where people are singing your praises because we can sing our praises, which is amazing, but it's even better when other people are singing our praises. So I'm a high believer of making sure to have updated recommendations, a firm believer of that.
And for someone like me, where do you go to see recommendations? Oh, you scroll down almost to the bottom of the page.
Yes, exactly.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Yeah,
A
yeah.
little further down.
Yeah, but it's great. It's basically like Yelp reviews for your LinkedIn profile.
Yes, I love it. And it doesn't have to be every time that you work with a client, I like to add it as part of the process so that you at least have some updated. My recommendation is usually like 3, because I believe it's like about 2 or 3 that shows initially before you have to click the see more or click that link.
Yeah.
So making sure that you have updated recommendations, or current, I would say, and then also that is aligned with also your ideal client, attracting them, letting them see other people sing your praises is another way to add that social proof.
This is awesome. Marietta, you have been so generous in sharing these tips. So go to LinkedIn, look at your profile, give your headline a rework, really spend an hour or 2 sitting with your about section and catching their attention right at the top, writing something really compelling, moving into a call to action, and then sprinkle in that social proof. If there's this featured section, which I'm guessing is where you can pop in media files and different, articles you've been mentioned in, recommendation sections. I feel like I just had a masterclass with you on LinkedIn, Marietta, and I know I personally can't wait to work one-on-one with you later this year to whip my LinkedIn into shape. And I imagine many people listening are feeling exactly the same.
I'm looking forward to it.
Well, before we move into talking about your free gift for our audience, I'm curious if there's anything else that you want to tell us about LinkedIn or the work that you do.
Yeah, I really have the honor of working with brilliant, creative small business owners who have big ideas, brilliant ideas, and maybe just exactly like yourself are on other platforms, but really want to use LinkedIn in a way that feels good, in a way that's going to help them attract clients and grow their businesses. So I really enjoy making it fun. That's important to me, because the better your energy is, the better you will show up and it doesn't feel like work. So it's really what I do and how I enjoy working with my clients and the people that I help.
That's amazing. Okay, I have one bonus question for you that I'm asking all of our guests on this season of the Rest and Success Code. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
So I want to know for you, Marietta, how you know when it's time to take a break from your business, how you know when you are getting close to burnout, and what are your favorite ways to rest?
Oh, okay. Interesting. How do I know? I feel it. I literally feel it in my body. Like my body is just tired. I'm not as optimistic, and I'm a fairly optimistic person. And when I find that I'm just tired, I'm just really, really cranky and don't really feel that light lift, I know that I am there to the point where I need to take a break and step aside from outside of what I'm doing. And honestly, the best way I do that too is just turn off my computer, shut it down, and really just take the time to say, how much time am I spending on my couch and spending time with my family? And that's how I gauge it.
And is that how you love to rest, being with your family away from distractions?
Yes, I have a wonderful husband and a toddler son, and they both spoil me. So it's the best way to feel queen.
That's fantastic. Yes, that's such incredible insight. You feel it in your body. You feel the fatigue. You feel the irritability. And it kind of clues you in like, oh, hey, you're getting tired. You're edging towards burnout. You really need to just put everything away and recharge your batteries. Go spend that sweet time being treated like a queen with your boys.
Yes, exactly.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yes.
Well, Marietta, you have been so generous today in sharing your wisdom and your LinkedIn advice with us. Thank you for being here. And I imagine our people are definitely going to want to connect with you. So luckily, she has created a free gift for our listeners called the Free LinkedIn Guide, a quick start guide to growing your personal brand on LinkedIn and attracting your ideal clients. So if you want Marietta's guide, the link to the gift will be in all of our communications to you. Is there anything else you would like to say about this LinkedIn guide, Marietta?
It's a great quick start guide, especially for those who are LinkedIn curious and just want enough to feel like, okay, I can do this. I'm ready to dust off my password or reset it and go back in it.
Well, first we have to find our password, which it could be a challenge, but no, I think that's really perfect. And I strongly encourage everyone listening to check it out, and let's all connect with each other on LinkedIn. And note, we won't judge anyone for having outdated profiles. Mine is very outdated. Don't judge me. But we'll connect and encourage each other to start showing up more on that space. Marietta, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Megan. Much appreciated.
I hope you are feeling as excited about leveraging LinkedIn as I am. Before you dive into updating your LinkedIn profile, take a moment to download Marietta's free guide. Learn 4 human ways to profit from your personal brand on LinkedIn. You can download that guide on the homepage of her website, maribrandsforyou.com. That's MARI brandsforyou.com. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode of Deeply Rested. If you enjoyed this conversation, I would love to invite you to join the Deeply Rested weekly newsletter. You can sign up at deeplyrested.com/newsletter. I hope to meet you in my inbox very soon.